Leeds United are set to play against Middlesbrough at the Riverside Stadium, and let's be honest, this is a must-win match. We are pushing onwards towards promotion, but we need these 3 points if we want to make things at all easier for ourselves. And let's be honest, Boro are on good form, so let's just get this done. But first, I'd hugely appreciate if you could subscribe. It's one little click down here, and I'm trying to push on towards 3,000 by the end of the season, and I'm very nearly there, so I would hugely appreciate a hand. Anyway, diving into it, we need to start with Leeds United's team news, and it's a sad fact that Leeds United have no more Connor Roberts. This is a little bit of a sad fact, because I quite like the way that he added a little bit more width to that right-hand side. He was able to push on and cause a lot of issues, but he's not there right now, and that's completely okay. We can acknowledge that. In addition to that, Jamie Shackleton is back in team training, but he's not quite available yet, probably. This was said on Friday, so he's probably still building his fitness back up. But thankfully, everyone else seems fit and healthy, and in addition to that, we've had plenty of rest time recently. We've had 9 days since the most recent match, which has meant that players have been able to go to awards things. Georgie might have gone to Disneyland again, who knows? But everyone's been able to have a little bit of time off, rest, recuperate, and get themselves physically and mentally in the right shape for this match. So my predicted lineup for this game. Some of this I will explain a little bit later, because I've done a proper dive into Middlesbrough on this one and some of their results this season that could match up with this. Ilham Meslier obviously starts in goal because he is our best goalkeeper by quite a margin. Archie Gray at right back with Rodon and Ampadu at centre back. Junior Firpo doing his overlapping thing on the left is a must as well. Central midfield, we've gone with Glenn Kamara and Ilya Gruev purely because that was sort of the foundational midfield when we had our best run this season, with them both fit and not recovering from injury again, as Gruev and Kamara both were when they were ill or had a knock. I think that could be an absolutely perfect midfield pairing. In front of them, I've gone Somerville, Ruter, and Dan James. I will explain that one a little bit later. And please don't hate me, I've gone Patrick Bamford up top again. That will be explained. I will get to that. But that all comes from how Boro play. Boro have been on a fantastic run recently, and I could dive into how they play normally. And how they play normally is very, very well. They've been unbeaten in their last 8 matches, but I do think there is something a little bit more valuable that we could do here, because they will probably change things, which is exactly how they beat Leicester. They beat Leicester twice this season. They've also done the double over them. And Michael Carrick gave an interview after the Leicester match about the tactical changes that he made for that match. And I think they were really interesting and something that I want to dive into a little bit, because it could show a little way about how Boro are likely to play against us. First, he emphasised that they did a lot of man marking. I'm going to read from the thing right now, because I will be honest with you, I don't want to get the wording wrong. But for example, it was particularly interesting. The briefs given to Dale Fry and Johnny Howson in the game, with the duo given man-marking briefs of Iheanacho and Dewsbury Hall, respectively. So Dale Fry on Iheanacho, probably the number 9. That's why I've gone with Patrick Bamford, because he has that little bit of movement that can pull Fry around and sort of destructure that defence. And Johnny Howson on Kane and Dewsbury Hall, which would translate roughly to Jorginho Ruter. Odds are they'd have someone for Somerville as well, but that man-marking approach could potentially cause us some problems. And he also said they ask a lot of questions of you. If you really want to commit, you have to put players in certain spaces they might not normally be. Johnny Howson was a good example. He was playing centre-back at points because Dale was tasked with jumping in with Iheanacho. Sometimes both centre-halves were in front of Johnny because he was looking after Dewsbury Hall. The balance of that and how the 3 of them managed the space was so impressive, and they did it so well. So they will move around a lot depending on what our players are doing, but in addition to that, they will look to press very high at points. The writer of this article, who is, I think, a Boro journalist, said that they were happy to concede possession to their opponents and instead look to hit on the counter-attack, which is something that I think they will definitely look to do, because we know that we are better in transitional moments. They are also better in transitional moments, because in those Leicester matches, they scored 2 of their goals from transitions, the third one from a free kick from Sam Greenwood. But what are their weaknesses? We know what their strengths are when they played against Leicester. How can we look to get at them and cause them some problems? As a general rule of thumb, they're not great against through balls. This is not looking just at the Leicester matches. This is just in general. If you slide in a nice little through ball, get someone on the end of it, you're likely in a one-on-one against the keeper, which is brilliant. And when we're talking about against the keeper, they also concede more than they should. They've conceded 8 more than their expected goals against, but importantly, it is a little bit of a goalkeeping problem from them. Their post-shot XG, so this is what happens after someone's taken a shot, it models where the shot is going, where the goalkeeper is, and whether or not they should save it and the chance of that going in. They've conceded 4 more goals than they should have this season from goalkeeping issues alone, which means that there's potentially something there for us if we just take a shot and try and force some mistakes from them. In the Leicester matches themselves, they also had a few pretty big issues. Whenever, for example, Jamie Vardy in that second match had chances, it was because they had a lot of quick passing and ball slid in behind. There was one that was just a lot of very nice little passing triangles where players would pass, move, and be ready to receive somewhere else, because if you're doing that, it's a lot harder for Middlesbrough's players to go, okay, so he's going to go there, so I need to be here. And when it's man-to-man, things are a lot more difficult and destructurable if you're smart about it. We saw that when teams had sort of learned how to play against Marcelo Bielsa and destructured us quite a lot. But in addition to that, they can get drawn into overly pressing teams, which means that they will pull themselves out of position, and it can get a little bit overwhelmed when they lose their structure. Added to that, they're missing some pretty big players for this match, specifically Luke Ayling and Sam Greenwood. Luke Ayling, since he's gone to them, I had a quick look at whoscore.com just to see how well he's getting along, and I know that those algorithmic ratings are never perfect, but he's on a level with their best player this season, with a 6.94 out of 10. But since he's on loan from us over there, he can't play for them, which is brilliant. In addition to that, Sam Greenwood is a fairly consistent presence in their side, so losing him could be a pretty big issue for them. It's quite funny that they've got down that Sam Greenwood will be playing for them on whoscored.com's preview for the match. They've also got Ayling on there, which is absolutely hilarious. But they are missing a bunch of other players. So, for example, Riley McGree, Josh Coburn, Dale Fry, Marcus Force, Tommy Smith, Darrell Lenihan, Paddy McNair, Hayden Hackney is a 50-50, might make it into the side, but that's a lot of players out, which is kind of good for us, I think. So, we know all of that, but what do Leeds United themselves need to do? And there is a reason I picked Patrick Bamford and Dan James, because they are both renowned for their movement. Patrick Bamford is known for being able to move around, get himself into dangerous positions, keep the defenders busy, which, if you've got someone man-marking you, is essential, because it means you can pull one centre-back completely out of position, maybe leave the other one exposed for some quick runners coming in from midfield or the wings. In addition to that, Dan James, we know, has plenty of pace and will use his to overwhelm that left back, who is supposedly going to be Lucas Engel. Then again, I'm using the whoscore.com predicted lineup. It ain't going to happen. We'll find out. I do think if we were to play Piru instead of Patrick Bamford, that would clog up the midfield a little bit too much, because whoever's marking Piru would follow him into that sort of area. With Ruter also being marked, that leaves 4 players in a very tight space, and it makes it even more difficult to play out from there. In addition to that, it could be a very nasty game for Dan James to try and start, because initially I thought, what if Dale Fry's marking him? We know that he can get a little kicky from time to time, but being man-marked is not going to be good for a centre-forward. It's a situation that makes you look bad, and if you play well, you just leave space for others, and they look good instead. I think what we need to do is we need to use our pace and our movement really well, because it means that we can destructure that back line. Those passing triangles will be a must, but we need to remember to release the ball quickly and then go. This is specifically talking about the likes of a Crescencio Somerville or a Georgie, where there will be a pass on, but they'll think, I can take on the man. And they try it and it might not work. But they're going to get doubled up on all day long. So it's going to have to be a case of passing triangles, make space for everyone else, and the ultimate unit working together will do better. So my predictions for the match is I think it will be a very, very tight game without many chances at all. It's going to be a tough one. Boro know how to defend, although when we're feeling it, we know how to attack. So I'm going to keep the faith, and I'm going to say that we can do this. I'm going to say, although Boro are good at scoring recently at the very least, I'm going to say Leeds United to win 2-1. I think we've got it in us. I think that rest will be absolutely essential for us doing well. I think Daniel fun hiccup. And again, I have hiccups now, so I'm going to end quickly. I think Daniel Farke knows how to talk to a team that is pushing for promotion. He knows how to inspire players. He knows how to go forwards. And I think this ultimate unit, the team, the gang, the boys have enough in them to win this match. But ultimately, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. It's always massively appreciated. Helps it to get pushed out to more people. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because I am going to keep pushing towards that 3,000 number in the next 3 games. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you later. LC Cups are a nightmare. I love when I'm recording and I'm just like, I might have to kill this take because, ow.